Thank you. I'm honored to deliver the keynote for a community that shares so much with SCAD. ASID and SCAD were founded within 3 years of one another in 1975 and 1978, and both have created boundless opportunity for so many designers, creatives, and underserved audiences across the decades. Now, I know we have many SCAD alumni watching from around the world. If you didn't go to SCAD, you probably work with or work for someone who did. And if you haven't hired a SCAD grad yet, get busy, folks. I'm speaking today from SCAD Lacoste in Provence, our European campus in the south of France, where SCAD students study year-round in this garden of earthly delights. I don't know where you're watching this from, but I wish you were right here. Lacoste is, well, it's enchanting, but so much more. The ancient Roman roads and aqueducts, fields of lavender, the bluest skies your eyes have ever seen. It's the opposite of Zoom. It's timeless. You can see why our students and alumni declare their time in Lacoste to be the most magical of their lives. SCAD students are busy in class this summer, but let's look beyond summer, beyond fall, in fact. Let's think ahead to 2022. It's fast approaching. In my role as the president of SCAD, every day I speak to tuned-in prophetic creatives like Barry Jenkins and Carrie Mae Weems, thought leaders like Juliet Blake at TED, and SCAD corporate partners at Delta, Coca-Cola, Capital One, and Google. I've been listening. I've been taking notes, and there's something in the air. There's a call for homage to the basic values of truth, trust, and authenticity as antidote to the uncertainty and chaos of the recent past. Let's time travel forward and consider what the next year could hold for all of us. Okay, so historically, a company's value has been measured through fiscal results, but increasingly, companies have a pre-financial mandate known as ESG, which addresses the environmental, social, and governance factors of an organization's operations. If you haven't yet been called upon to address ESG values, you will be, and soon. So why does this matter, and how can we best address this next big thing? Companies who don't take ethical obligations seriously risk being devalued, boycotted, embargoed, or even canceled. This is a wake-up call. Well, in education, we know all about IQ. We have all kinds of tests to measure one's intellectual quotient. Today, I'm here to talk about EQ, the EQ of environmental, equitable, and emotional quotients that we all are called upon to cultivate and advance. SCAD has committed to a plan we call EQ22. We're restructuring our work to make demonstrable advances by the end of 2022 in all of the big 3 EQs. The environmental quotient describes an organization's work to advance sustainability in the natural world, addressing everything from water scarcity to carbon emissions. Beavers and bowerbirds make habitats, and so do we as designers. For SCAD, this EQ is all about energy efficiency and waste reduction. I chose to create SCAD in Savannah, Georgia, a city with an urban plan rivaling any in world history. Savannah was beguiling 4 or 5 decades ago when I first arrived. But in 1978, the downtown was largely derelict, a shadow of what it is today. We could have chosen the path of new construction somewhere out on the edge of town, but I chose a found object approach to creating SCAD, building by building within an urban plan dense with 3 centuries of abandoned, architecture. SCAD practiced large-scale sustainability way before it was in vogue. Most people think of historic preservation as empowering heritage and saving stories, but principally, historic preservation is not about buildings, it's about people, because without people and purpose, neighborhoods, office complexes, malls, and campuses are cemeteries of stone, wood, steel, and glass. As SCAD preservation demonstrates upcycling on a massive scale. SCAD's Gen Z students live and study in a vast sustainability organism of international dimension. New construction produces over twice as much demolition debris as everyday garbage. I mean, here we are worried about what bin to use for our old copier paper. Is it blue for paper and green for glass, or green for compost and purple for plastic? Of course, small-scale recycling matters. All recycling matters. But designers should be much more concerned with large-scale recycling. Rehabilitated architecture creates a cost savings as high as 46%, according to the National Trust. This means less landfill waste and fewer greenhouse emissions because while designers appreciate the blank slate afforded by demolition, there is no challenge more creatively invigorating or ecologically minded than adaptive rehabilitation. I mean, look at these buildings. You want a challenge? SCAD classroom buildings used to be dry goods warehouses and apothecaries and houses of worship and armories and jails with literal dungeons. SCAD transformed a dreary furniture warehouse into a lively home for the study of advertising and graphic design. There's a faux campfire in the lobby. Students call it the Glamp Ground. This ghostly industrial building had once been a casket factory. True. Now it's the home of the SCAD School of Digital Media, where the future stars of Pixar and DreamWorks and Nintendo level up every day. Our properties often had no doors, vanished roofs, missing floors. They needed a lot of love, friends. Today I'm in the Théâtre du SCAD, where we screen films and host film and digital media classes and discussions. This used to be a barn, if you can believe it. We have cherry orchards, vineyards, lavender fields, and bees here on our farm. All this property was once a hulking medieval ruin that belonged to the Marquis de Sade. Yes, that Marquis de Sade. When SCAD arrived, de Sade was gone, and so were the walls. Today, Maison Basse is the world's most glorious college residence hall, where SCAD students live, eat, study, and play. This is most decidedly not what my college dorm looked like. We didn't even have a pool, and we definitely did not have swans. We source those swans and so many of our design elements in the markets of L'Île-sur-la-Sorgue, also located here in the Luberon Valley. You can't give an old building just any new purpose. SCAD research is what the world needs. Carol Hamilton, Group President of Acquisitions for L'Oreal, told me there was a crying need for social media gurus and a huge demand for SCAD-educated alumni in the business of beauty and fragrance. So I created those 2 BFA degree programs. If you know the city of Atlanta, you know that an empty building on Peachtree Street is almost unheard of. It's like a beautiful smile with a missing tooth. Peachtree is Atlanta's Champs-Élysées, but for years pre-SCAD, this building sat empty. In the rear of what is now SCAD Atlanta, overlooking I-75, is a brutalist parking deck that once was an officially designated nuclear fallout refuge. Today it's home to SCAD Fash, the world's only museum of film and fashion, currently featuring Afrofuturism in costume design by Oscar winner Ruth E. Carter. To mine the stories of shared history and build something that endures for tomorrow is a profoundly sustainable futurism of its own. Really, though, the single most important step you can take for the environment is to make your enterprise a success. Failed businesses create waste. We know how much work and money goes into, say, changing a restaurant into a retail clothing store. The fixtures, the signage, everything has to change. Make your business a success to add points to your environmental quotient. And when you dignify a past with a new purpose, you equally dignify those who inhabit it today. Deloitte, one of SCAD's primary corporate partners, defines equity as the outcome of diversity, inclusion, and anti-oppression to provide everyone fair access, opportunity, resources, and power to thrive. From the very genesis of SCAD, we've made no room for faux pretensions to status, which is precisely why at SCAD all faculty are full professors without the divisive pecking order of rank. SCAD has no instructors, no assistant professors, no associate professors, only professors, signifying to students that everyone in our community is respected. This focus on equity manifests a built environment where students feel loved. When students love instructional environments, they spend more time in the buildings. SCAD stands in radical contradistinction to what's called targeted reinvestment, otherwise known as gentrification, which displaces design heritage and excludes residents. SCAD's legacy of revitalization conserves and extends design heritage and invites everyone into these buildings. The SCAD Museum of Art is a perfect example. This is the oldest extant railroad depot in the U.S., the former Central of Georgia Railway in Savannah, where enslaved people William and Ellen Craft heroically escaped to freedom in 1848. Developers wanted to eradicate this history and sell off the 19th century Savannah gray bricks. SCAD was able to stop the demolition and create a magnificent community asset. Here it is today. We worked closely with SCAD alumnus and AIA award-winning designer Christian Sotil to foster a captivating dialogue of historic ruins with contemporary materials to create one of the most celebrated teaching museums in the world. Thousands of school children tour the museum every year, their teachers supported with SCAD-produced curriculum guides. Come see for yourself. Near the museum stands Clark Hall, the home of SCAD interior design and architecture. Clark Hall provides an ideal demonstration of sustainable design by upcycling the industrial architecture from 1887 and incorporating technologies like a real-time monitor that displays energy use and savings from the solar panels on the roof. Clark demonstrates inclusion and respect for all students by giving them access and resources to become healthy, productive contributors to your profession. This formerly forgotten building is now a 21st century professional studio that looks and feels a lot like the firms that hire SCAD designers. We want SCAD students to feel comfortable walking into and joining the most prestigious firms in the world. A few blocks away is Morris Hall, constructed in 1857 for French expat Alexander Smets, now a home for the study of luxury marketing. Think elite resorts, travel, museum-worthy collections, and philanthropy. SCAD environments strike an intentional balance between professionalism and personality. They're cozy, with surprise and delight around every corner. SCAD spaces are designed so students feel like they're being given a great big hug. Well, some spaces give you a hug and others give you vitamin D. You know, Savannah's only a short drive from Tybee and Hilton Head, but downtown Savannah doesn't have a beach. So we made one. SCAD Beach invites our busy students to get some sunshine, swing a little, and enjoy a sound installation of ocean waves. Equitable environments are designed for reciprocity. Reciprocal learning at SCAD teaches students to work on a team, just as they will in professions. Ruskin Hall epitomizes reciprocity in the former Candler Hospital, the first hospital in the U.S. to be led by a Black physician. While this building is historic, its purpose could not be more future-oriented. A primary characteristic of Gen Z is their economic awareness. Today's college students care more about a stable career than any generation since the greatest generation. SCAD honors this focus by launching careers through SCAD Pro, an elite design agency within SCAD where students invent, solve problems, and build prototypes for the world's best companies. And our clients have access to consultants who never age. You too can engage SCAD Pro to research, design, prototype the very best ideas to fulfill your briefs. Contact Koivo at SCAD Pro to find out more. And word to the wise, SCAD Pro assignments are accepted in SCAD Savannah, SCAD Atlanta, and SCAD Lacoste. So come on, what are you waiting for? The Equitable Quotient describes the measurable ways our built environment dignifies and elevates everyone inclusively. As Chinese couturier Guo Pei, a SCAD parent, once said to me, the atmosphere of SCAD is about love. SCAD cares. We care. We care how our students feel. Today's students, more than any generation in U.S. history, care about mental health. When you treat people with respect and honor, it evidences love. 50 years ago, about 5% of young people reported mental health needs. That number is now 27%. Through our Be Well initiative, SCAD employs many full-time professional counselors across locations with an on-call team available 24/7. At its heart, the Equitable Quotient is about care, more than anything else. Fairness, encouragement, the absolute power of positive reinforcement. Which brings us to our third and final mandate, the OGEQ. The Dictionary of Psychology defines emotional intelligence as the ability to process emotional information and use it in reasoning and other cognitive activities, including the ability to adapt to the emotions engendered by environments. The current Venice Biennale of Architecture provides endless examples created to recognize the importance of emotion and provoke conversations about equity, justice, and sustainability. The American Room showcases probiotic architecture. The Chilean exhibit seen here was designed for conflict resolution. In Japan, the reversible destiny lofts near Tokyo are designed to build emotional strength and even extend human life through sensory stimulation, uneven floors, unexpected angles, curved walls, inaccessible doors. In the U.S., Meow Wolf, the art collective that launched the House of Eternal Return in Santa Fe, shows the expansive power of immersive environments. It's a little quirky if you've been there. It definitely provokes wonder. Van Gogh, the immersive experience compels individual immersion in a motion media projected multisensory environment. Audiences, residents, guests, clients, and students need environments designed to elicit emotional responses. At SCAD, we want our students to feel joy in our buildings. The customer experience is paramount. Customer experience, student experience, client experience. We have an entire degree program in user experience design developed in partnership with Google. These days, when building SCAD environments, we also have to ask another very important question. Where will students TikTok? We strive to create fresh spaces where students linger because they love them, and we recognize the important reality of twinning, physical and digital realities. The entire mise-en-scène of SCAD is intentionally student-centered. SCAD interiors function like stage scenery, creating visual layers to tell a story in which students are the stars. After all, iPhones are to Gen Z what TV was to boomers, always there, always on, as much a fact of life as running water. According to one survey, 40% of today's students say that good Wi-Fi is more important to them than working bathrooms. The good news is at SCAD we do have both. SCAD student selfies are all over social, an affirmation, a witness that our students feel seen. When you take a photo in your favorite setting, you're casting yourself in the story of the built environment, making your spaces home. And every home needs art, rapturous contemporary art. At SCAD, students experience 14,000 works of art every day in classrooms, restrooms, hallways, everywhere the eye lands. Works of art and inventive design invite engagement with the here and now. This artful Zaha Hadid runner wakes you up, invites attention and presence. Thoughtfully designed interiors evolve the human mind, strengthening what neuropsychologists call epistemic curiosity. SCAD interiors elicit questions. What's that spider web made of? Answer, costume jewelry. How did they get a bus inside this cafe? Answer, a blowtorch. It's a real bus. Well, it used to be. A well-placed visual surprise increases those wondrous endorphins. When you enter SCAD Atlanta, you're probably not expecting to be greeted by a life-size horse. We house a zoo of animals, polar bears, bison, dolphins, zebras, this well-traveled ostrich. No animals were harmed in the making of this university. Quite often, my office receives phone calls from companies who want us to help them fill their own headquarters with great SCAD art. After all, we have nearly 65,000 students and alumni artists to call on. I fondly remember one such call a few years ago. We want to commission SCAD to put art in a new building, they said. What kind of space? I asked. An athletic facility, he said. So I'm thinking, maybe a new fitness center? No, this is the athletic facility he was talking about. The caller was Atlanta Falcons and Atlanta United owner Arthur Blank, and he wanted to know if SCAD could help him elevate the game day experience at the mammoth new Mercedes-Benz Stadium. This cathedral-esque 3 million square foot super gallery of SCAD art inspired me to create SCAD Art Sales, which curates and installs art for homes and headquarters around the world, from Netflix and Facebook to hotels in the U.S. and here in Europe. SCAD is the only university that offers a professional commercial gallery service to interior designers, businesses, and collectors. This service benefits established alumni artists by earning them something even more valuable than exposure: income. If you're looking to boost the EQ of your next project, you know where to find us. SCAD's commitment to EQ is a call to ourselves and to our friends in the global design community to advance and strengthen the environmental, equitable, and emotional quotients in the spaces where we live, learn, play, work, and heal. Our environments are more important than ever before in the history of the modern workplace. They must add value to every enterprise and public space. So let's create stronger EQ everywhere, together. And how will we know when we've done it? How do we measure sustainability, equity, diversity, mental health, feelings, relationships? We kind of, but not really, joke at SCAD about our propensity to measure anything and everything that's not nailed to the floor because we value our students' and clients' time. If we claim to advance EQ, we have to prove it. I banished the terms objectives and goals in our SCAD universe. They're too much like those New Year's resolutions. One of my personal goals every New Year's is to banish my dog Ari from the furniture. But I mean, look at those eyes. Nobody puts Ari in a corner. Come on up here, buddy. Goals, like resolutions, are wishful thinking. At SCAD, I vastly prefer clearly articulated intentions, promises, results. We focus our attention on targets, ambitious and attainable. Our profession has plenty of ways to measure environmental EQ, such as carbon footprint calculations. And we can measure equity and emotional EQ as we do at SCAD with comprehensive surveys of our 15,000 students. But there's one metric that matters most at SCAD, which testifies to the efficacy of our mission to prepare students for creative professions. Our annual SCAD Alumni Employment Survey reveals that SCAD graduates have a 99% employment rate for 5 years straight. Environments that foster environmental, equitable, and emotional wellness cultivate graduates whom companies want to hire. That 99% figure impacts lives, families, businesses, communities, healthy, happy, productive professionals doing good work in the world.
After I graduate, I'll be working as a design management coordinator for HBO Max.
졸업 후 저는 SOM에서 건축 디자이너로 일하게 됩니다.
Walt Disney Imagineering.
Swarovski.
Video producer for Deloitte.
Abercrombie & Fitch.
Gensler.
Black & Decker.
Fjord.
At Buck.
Google.
Netflix.
IBM.
Pixar Animation Studio.
Sony!
Co-industrial designer for Hexbook.
Because of SCAD, I got my dream job at Epic Games.
That is what EQ22 is all about. Measurably strengthening human lives, corporations, and families through design that fosters equity, environmental health, and emotional well-being. SCAD's motto comes from John Ruskin's The Seven Lamps of Architecture. Like the creative entrepreneurial work that is the collective calling of everyone at ASID and SCAD, this organizational imperative of environmental, equitable, and emotional wellness demands each of our hands, heads, and hearts. COVID is still claiming lives around the world, but as we emerge from the worst global crisis in generations, a pandemic that has wreaked disaster on so many, I don't think we want to just get back to normal. I think we've learned something, many somethings, from our collective experiences that have spurred us to aspire to do more and be more. Normal is canceled. We are better. We expect better. Thank you to everyone with ASID and to every member of our SCAD universe who helps design something better for today, for tomorrow, for everyone. Thank you all.